Have you ever been scrolling through your phone, or maybe watching a movie, or even hanging out with your friends, and you just feel kind of nothing? If you've ever felt like the color has just drained out of your life, that things aren't as exciting as they used to be, then you are in exactly the right place. We are about to break down precisely why that's happening, and, way more importantly, how you can fix it. But really, take a second and think about it. When was the last time you felt genuinely lose all track of time excited about something? And I don't mean just, the quick laugh from a funny video. I mean that deep, satisfying joy. If it's taking you a minute to come up with an answer, you've just put your finger on a huge problem a lot of us are dealing with. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. And look, let's just get one thing straight right off the bat. This is not some kind of character flaw. You haven't suddenly become a boring person. The issue isn't you, it's what's going on inside your brain. This is all about brain chemistry, not your character. What about that feeling of wanting to do something, but you just can't? That's not you being lazy. That is a symptom. The thing is, our modern world is constantly plugging right into our brain's reward system, and it has quietly rewired us to the point where our natural motivation signals are just getting completely scrambled. But here is the single most important thing I want you to hear right now. This is not permanent. Just like your brain can be rewired in one direction, you have the power to rewire it back. And I promise, by the time we're done with this, you are going to have the exact tools you need to start doing just that. Okay, so where do we even begin? We start with something called the excitement gap. We're about to dive into why your brain's baseline for what feels good has been pushed so incredibly high that just feeling okay now feels like a challenge. So let's go ahead and name the villain of this story. It's called dopamine stacking. And yeah, it is exactly what it sounds like. We're piling multiple fun activities on top of each other, all at once. It's not about just enjoying one thing. It's about creating this constant, overwhelming flood of stimulation that, honestly, our brains were just never designed to handle. And just look at how normal these examples are. Eating while you're watching a show, scrolling your phone while you've got a podcast on. We call it multitasking, right? But what our brain experiences is dopamine stacking, and it slowly teaches our brain that any single activity all by itself just isn't stimulating enough anymore. This right here, this really gets to the heart of the problem. Our brains evolved for a world where that hit of pleasure, that dopamine, was pretty rare, and you usually had to work for it, so it meant something. But now, it's constant, it's effortless. So in response, our brain does the only logical thing it can. It just becomes less sensitive. And that is exactly why everything starts to feel a little bit dull. So, how in the world do we start to reverse this? Well, that brings us to our very first habit. Stop stacking. Now, this isn't about taking away joy. It's the exact opposite. It's about restoring your brain's ability to actually feel joy from simple things again. The rule is incredibly simple, but I'm going to be honest, it's not easy. Just one source of dopamine at a time. So when you eat, just eat. When you listen to music, just listen. And yeah, it's probably going to feel boring. It might even feel a little agitating at first. But that feeling of discomfort, that's a good thing. That's the sound of your brain starting to recalibrate itself. And hey, you do not have to be perfect with this. Just start small. Today, just pick one single activity. Maybe it's lunch. Maybe it's one song on your drive home. And for that one thing, commit to doing only that. That's it. That's all it takes to begin the reset. Okay, so once you start creating a little more space by single tasking, the next step is to rebuild the very foundation of motivation. And that brings us to habit number 2, earn your rewards. This is a tiny shift in timing that can fundamentally change your brain's entire relationship with effort. So on the left, that's how most of us are living. We get our reward first, scrolling on our phone for a bit, before we ever tackle that big pile of work. And this teaches our brain that effort isn't really necessary for pleasure. But by just flipping the script, like you see on the right, and putting in the effort before you get the reward, you reestablish the very connection that creates motivation in the first place. And this quote explains exactly why that little trick works so well. We tend to think motivation is all about willpower, just forcing ourselves to do things. But it's not. Motivation is your brain's natural response when it expects a reward. So when you make a habit of earning your rewards, you're not just getting stuff done, you're literally building a motivation engine inside your head. All right, so we've started to value effort again. Now it's time to get a little bit better at it. This is habit 3. Do one hard thing. And this isn't about punishing yourself. It's about proving to yourself every single day that you can handle a little bit of discomfort. Because that discomfort, that's the price of admission for pretty much any goal worth having. Now, I know when people hear do something hard, their minds immediately jump to like extreme workouts or waking up at 4 in the morning. But that's really not the point, and honestly, that usually just leads to burnout. The real goal here is consistency, not intensity. A hard thing can be laughably small. Seriously, taking a 30-second cold shower, going for a walk without your headphones, just starting that project you've been avoiding for 5 minutes. Every time you do one of these, you send a tiny signal to your brain that says, see, I can handle this. You're not just building momentum, you're building self-trust. And now, we've arrived at our final habit, and it might sound a little counterintuitive, but I want to be super clear. This is the one. This is the habit that ties everything else together. It is time to embrace the boring. This quote just gets right to the point, doesn't it? In our world today, boredom feels like an emergency, right? It's something we have to escape from instantly with our phones. But think about it. If your brain can't even handle a single moment of empty space, how is it ever going to handle the sustained focus needed for deep work or creativity or any long-term project? We have to reframe what boredom actually is. It is not a bug. It's a feature of your brain. It's your brain's way of saying, okay, I have zero external input right now, so what should I create? It's in that quiet space that your own ideas, your own desires, and your own real motivation can finally come to the surface. And practicing this is so incredibly simple. It's just about intentionally choosing not to fill all those little empty gaps in your day. When you're standing in a line, just stand there. Try driving in silence for 5 minutes. These tiny moments of doing nothing are what give your brain the space it desperately needs to reset. So, let's circle all the way back to where we started. If nothing feels fun anymore, it is not because you are broken. Your brain is an incredible adaptation machine. It is simply adapted perfectly to an environment of constant, overwhelming stimulation. The solution then isn't to go out and chase even more exciting things. It's the opposite. It's to intentionally create more space. By stopping the stacking, earning your rewards, and yes, even embracing a little boredom, you allow your brain's natural sensitivity to joy and motivation to finally come back online. And all of that leaves us with one last, really empowering question. Once you clear out all that external noise, once you finally give your brain the quiet space it's been craving, what will you choose to create with it?